Welcome to the Ascended Nerd Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boys Rob and Kev coming to you from the Ascended Nerd universe. And today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about Naruto versus Boruto. And we're not talking about a versus matchup, but really talking about the content of the mangas, somewhat of the animes. But we really want to dig into, comparing the two fairly. And by fairly, I mean, just setting a certain criteria so that we're not overly analyzing one over the other in an unfair way. Like, for example, Naruto was a standalone series until Boruto became a continuation of Naruto. So we have to kind of keep that in mind when we're, discussing certain things. But yeah, we're going to have fun with this. So before we dig in any further, Kev, how you doing? How's everything going, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm taking like a mental break kind of from everything. Just going through like planning for this channel. Just some announcements for y'all. We do have One Piece officially coming. We got one of our guys in the Facebook group on board. So we're going to be, him and I are going to be coming at you guys with some recordings for One Piece. We planned out a lot of content for you guys. I think we have probably a good like 5 videos already in the works, already in the planning phase. So we just have to move forward with recording those. But I'm feeling good. Took a little step back from Twitch just because I haven't been feeling myself lately. But again, I've been using that time to come up with some solid content for this channel. So I'm happy, man.
Okay, now we got to get you back on Twitch, man, because that's been very entertaining for us watching you take those L's, man. So
hey man, we got a couple wins. It's funny. I play so much better when I'm not recording, and I guess it's by proxy of not having to entertain an audience, and like I can purely focus on the game without having to take my eyes off the screen to like interact with people. But we've been getting some dubs, man. Me and T, we've been doing trios with my brother-in-law, and we grabbed a couple dubs. I actually recorded them, or I grabbed the clips off of PlayStation so that people would actually believe me when I tell them. So I got the footage. I'm not lying.
I got you. Yeah, man. It's funny because when the few times I have twitched, that's something I've been concerned about. Is like you get on, like, man, I hope I don't stink it up. Man, people gonna be talking bad about you. Because I think I may have twitched myself doing Tekken like a few years ago, Tekken 7, and when nobody's watching, like I beat up on people. But then when people are watching, man, you start second guessing your moves and
you get nervous, man. You're trying to impress people at that point. It's tough.
Yeah, man. Everybody don't have that clutch gene, I guess.
It's a work in progress. We'll get there though. Yeah. We're gonna get consistent dubs. We've been getting a lot better. Apex has become the game. I played some Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker the other day and actually picked up some great followers from that game's community. So shout out to those guys. But Apex has really become the game. And I think it's probably my favorite shooter right now. Call of Duty out of nowhere just got really, really sweaty over the last couple weeks. And playing that has become a little bit of a chore.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, man. I mean, hey, I'm just glad that things are decent. I'm glad that you keeping yourself busy, but we definitely want to get you back out there, man. So
yeah, I'll probably do a stream at some point, if not later today, then tomorrow. So we're recording this on December 2nd, so I'll either be streaming tonight or on December 3rd. We got to see.
All right, cool. All right, so jumping into this, Boruto is not it's a newer anime, but it's not fresh off the press new. It's been out here for a few years now. And it's something that, a lot of fans were excited about on the heels of Naruto, because to be honest, I mean, a lot of us that have been on the journey with Naruto, we definitely wanted to see Naruto achieve his goals, see what that ninja world would look like, see what he would look like, what was going to happen, what kind of things they would face. And Boruto kind of gives us that. It gives us a glimpse of, well, not even a glimpse, but it, gives us a real application of who Naruto is, and as an adult, as a husband, as a father, as well as Sasuke and his life, and other, the other leaders and whatnot. But for the sake of this discussion, let's dig into, I guess, what makes them different, what worked for both, what doesn't work for both, kind of like how did Boruto meet expectations currently, how did it not meet expectations, just things like that. So I'm gonna let you start us off with your thoughts on everything. Just kind of let it flow, man.
Okay, so just to give people some background, my history with Naruto is probably very different from a lot of the hardcore fans, just because of when I absorbed the material and kind of how.
Mm-hmm.
So I had never watched Naruto until I want to say about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the thing that everybody like kept talking about, like how good the writing was and how interesting the characters were, and like that's like my thing within the scope of like anime and like kind of all of fiction, really. Like if you can tell me a good story and there's like interesting and believable characters in there, that's kind of like what I get up for. So I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot. So I watched part 1 minus all of the filler because I just don't have time to be doing all that. Just genuine, like I really hate filler. Like it's annoying that studios don't wait for the manga to get a little bit further ahead before they start making.
It's all about the money, man.
Yeah,
it's all about the money.
True. So like it is what it is. But anyway, so I watched all of part 1 minus the filler, and then I took a break, like a long break. I did not watch Shippuden at all, and I actually just read the part 2 section of the manga probably like 3 to 4 months ago because I was playing Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, and I was seeing like light spoilers for like character designs and stuff like that. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta read this now. So I like sped read it over the course of maybe like 3 weeks or so. So if anything that I say is false, I'm sure that Rob will hold me accountable. I know that you guys will hold me accountable in the comments.
I would say it's been a while since I, because like even for myself, like I was watching the anime. And I was watching Shippuden, and I was keeping up with it weekly. Oh my god, this was like over 10 years ago. Like I hate to even admit it, but I was at my job at the time, and of course we had workstations. Bro, I was looking up stuff, like looking up the website. It was either a website or YouTube, but somebody was posting like the weekly episodes, so I was watching them. I was watching them at my workstation. Every week.
Man, you got to do what you got to do, man. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah. Nobody's going to fault you for that.
I was young. Oh, God. But nah, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good. So, yeah, that's kind of like my history. So if I say things that are like inaccurate, like super inaccurate, again, you guys will hold me accountable, and I'm sure that Rob will be able to correct me. So I guess when it comes to talking about Boruto, I guess I'll do it through the vein of Boruto, because I did recently... I binged the crap out of it. I read like every chapter over the span of like 3 days. It was super, super good. And I guess that's where I'll go with it. Like, I don't see why people hate on Boruto so much. Because I think that, like, while there's like valid criticism of Boruto, right? When you look at the anime and you talk about the pacing and how just honestly like fucking boring it is in the beginning, because you're essentially watching a good like 30 something episodes of filler because they're just filling in backstory that kind of doesn't exist in the manga. So from that point, I get that that's a legitimate criticism. It's kind of weird to criticize Boruto for that, but then about 50% of all of Naruto is filler.
To be fair, you got to think about it. You're coming on the heels of one of the most successful, franchises in anime history. So
that's very true. But again, like the same criticism that gets levied at Naruto, like we have to be fair about what matters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna have a major criticism that filler sucks and you don't want to see filler, you have to be honest about what you were watching beforehand. Because to my recollection, like my friends are really into Naruto, like way more than I am. It was probably like 2014-ish, or maybe like 2013. They were complaining, like they were just talking about it. They were like, "Yeah, man, probably gonna take a break with Naruto until we get back to like the canon material because this is a lot of filler." And I figured like it would be a couple weeks or maybe like a month, and then they would get back to it because it releases weekly, so that's like 4 episodes, no big deal. I heard that same complaint almost every week for like a year plus. That's a lot of filler, man. That's a lot of filler. So if we're gonna criticize one for having filler, we have to acknowledge that the filler was, and especially like that filler was at the end. If I'm not mistaken, like a big chunk of the filler came from the infinite Tsukuyomi, and it was showing like these what ifs.
It was
and like dreams that people were having.
It got really bad, man. Like because for me, it was like a like the story really picks up in Shippuden. I mean, it's been action packed, from the start, but it like really gets interesting once you get into the pain arc. And
pain is good.
I mean, and they kind of got into that. I think they had some slight filler with that fight once it was about to get started, and then you get further. Because like when I know when I read that part in the manga, I was like, oh, I can't wait until they get into the anime with this. Like I was real hype, and then you get some minor filler, and then it's kind of like, I mean, Shippuden has a lot of filler. Don't get me wrong, but it's like they went filler crazy, kind of at that point where you would get, especially towards the last battles. You would get like 2 or 3 episodes. So you get like 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the actual content, and then you would get like 2 to 3 months of filler. And so I ain't gonna lie, I was skipping it. But yeah, it was a hard watch because you legitimately just wanted to see the story, in the animation way, because because where the manga was, like you knew what was coming. So it's like, all right, let's just get on with it. But money, power, politics. But continue. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So just I just looked up the filler stats for each for Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Both are 41% filler. So 41% of the content that you absorb in the anime for Naruto and Naruto Shippuden are each 41%. That is really, like, that is objectively, like, that's a lot. That's a lot of fucking.
Some of them were actually really good. Some of the like the Itachi. For me, I can't speak for everybody. The Itachi filler arcs were good. Kakashi filler arcs were good. Can't think of any. I think they had a not a Lee one, but Laura, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. His master.
Mike Guy.
There we go. That was nowhere near my mind. But no, like I think they had like a small filler with him. Like they had some very interesting things that provided backstory for different characters that it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like I can get jiggy with this.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But now let's compare that with so again, we had 41% filler in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Compared to, again, Boruto is the one that has so much filler and it's so boring. 16%.
So far.
16% so far. Yeah. And I mean, I imagine they did announce a little while ago that they're like finally gonna get to the real meat of it, because this is gonna be controversial. This is gonna be super controversial, and people aren't gonna like to hear it. I think that the content so far, and again, when I speak about Boruto, and I feel like it's going to be the same for you, Rob. When I talk about Boruto, I'm talking about the manga. Okay. I don't really care too much about the anime because nothing has really happened yet.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So and like the anime, it's almost unfair because Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, like that cement is dry, so to speak. Like
Yeah.
those are done. Those are full-fledged, like completed series. Not really fair to compare like the anime still being in its infancy.
Right.
The manga's a little bit further along, so I'm gonna go ahead and like I'll comfortably make that comparison for now. So I'll say that through chapter, what was the most recent one? 50.
Oh Jesus, don't get me lying.
55.
I've just been reading it. I have not been keeping up with the numbers.
All right, so let's make sure that we get the correct numbers in here. I'm gonna pull up the show and jump out.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that is not something.
Yeah, we gotta make sure that we're not lying. Got to make sure we're not lying. Let me see.
Yeah, I got my Viz app.
Boruto. Okay, 52 chapters. Yeah,
52
I was off.
Yep.
I was off. My bad. I was off by 3 chapters. That's my bad. So I would say that through 52 chapters of Boruto, I would say that if it continues to be as good as it's been, and for those of you who have been reading Boruto, you know how good it is right now. You know that we're in the middle of a really interesting conflict that centers around Kawaki, who we know from reading the manga is going to be like, that's our big bad. Like, he's the guy. He's the guy that we got to defeat to bring peace to the shinobi world. I would say that Boruto is probably the second strongest of each series. Boruto will finish as the second strongest if it continues its current trajectory. I think that it will be slightly worse than, and this is going to be unpopular, it's going to be slightly worse than Part 1 Naruto, the original, and it's going to come in better than Naruto Shippuden, because I think that outside of pain, Shippuden had almost nothing going for it. And I think it actually dragged down the legacy of Naruto a bit for me personally. And the biggest reason why, and again, like I said, I'm big on like character and story. I think that in Boruto, even though these characters not finished developing yet, they're still very much kids, and like we got to give them an opportunity to grow into the characters that they're going to be. I think the characters in Boruto are stronger than at least the beginning characters in Naruto, because there's
I think that's fair.
Boruto relies
and in a way they have to be.
Yeah. But it relies a lot less on character tropes to me, because even though like Naruto becomes like it peels back the layers and you kind of see why he is the way that he is. At the end of the day, Naruto characters feel like very, very stock. I hate throwing the word out there, but very, very stock shonen characters. Like Naruto, at the end of the day, he is a shonen protag with a heart of gold, and he's pretty stupid, but insanely powerful because of XYZ.
But you see,
Sasuke is his rival, and Sakura is the tsundere with the crush.
I just don't feel like Naruto really started out that strong. I mean, I guess like you said, that's true. That's true of every, most shonen protagonist, I guess. I guess for Naruto, for me, I mean, he worked hard. Like put him in another person's mindset, and he doesn't achieve even half of the things that he was able to.
Yes and no.
I think I just feel like that, like with Naruto, is more believable in terms of his leaps in abilities, because even aside from his leaps in power, there was still a lack of skill that he didn't have in comparison to his friends and other shinobi allies. He was literally and I think that's what like helped me with the balance of him, because he would get lucky. But again, that's true of most, if not all.
Luck is baked into the formula when you're dealing with any type of like shonen protagonist. They don't win without it generally, and that's existent in everything. But my thing is about Naruto, specifically, and maybe we'll find this to be true for Boruto as well. And I mean, it kind of already is, really, because they both have the advantage of having something inside of them.
Yeah, that pushes them above everybody
that they
else.
Can't control. That they can't control, that naturally will make them stronger than most. Like Naruto has, and always had, a significantly larger pool of chakra to pull from, because he was a Jinchuriki for Kurama.
Yeah.
So he just off the rip, without doing anything, his potential was already far above what anybody else could realistically achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just period. Like, so he already had it for people, like, because you see it in his fight with Sasuke, the first one, where they're fighting at, I guess, like the water towers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was.
That
and
was funny. Yeah.
they have the clash where Naruto does his Rasengan, and like Sasuke is feeling real good about himself because he's pretty much like, he made like a bigger leak in the tower, and Naruto made like, that shit was just like dripping essentially until he saw the back of it, and Naruto completely obliterated it. Like stuff like that. Like when Sasuke is clearly up to that point far more skilled and talented, and had honestly worked a little bit harder than Naruto had, because Naruto was lazy as hell in the beginning. Like he doesn't have that motivation, and really all of his motivation comes from, I'm gonna save Sasuke. But I think that, I say all that to say that regardless of any hard work, Naruto, if he honestly just conceded himself to Kurama in the beginning, Naruto would have been what Naruto is now anyway. He would have been a much less skilled, and he would have relied a lot more on raw power and a large chakra pool. But he was going to be strong as hell regardless of what like he did or didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like in Boruto, they're going back to my original point, that they're much less stock character-ish, and they feel a lot more like actual kids with actual relationships. And that's another way that I feel like Boruto benefits, is that the relationships between all the characters are a little bit more realistic. We were talking about it off camera, and like we talked about the dynamic between Naruto and Sasuke, and like while I am genuinely like at a point fascinated by their relationship, it's not believable, and it doesn't come across as genuine. I feel like that relationship exists because we kind of knew as the readers where the writing was going.
I was cool with it at first, but when they went back and started kind of expounding on it, that's when it gets a little murky for me. So when they do this thing where it's like, I've always had you in my sights, I've always wanted you to be my friend, it was kind of
like I always respected you when they like saw each other as kids and stuff. That was whack. That was really corny.
I liked it better when it was just like Sasuke is just like consumed with what he was consumed with because of what he went through, and Naruto was just this pesky little kid who wanted attention. That was fine. But when they went back and tried to, you know, I guess to make it make sense with their them being reincarnations of the sage's sons, so now they have to make this emotional attachment that they had to each other, which just made it kind of weird. So dude.
And that's why stuff like that is why I say that Shippuden is probably the worst for me. Is because Shippuden did, like, for all the stuff that people complain about Boruto about, with like they're tired of Boruto's daddy issues, which is fair, and like the fights aren't always terribly exciting and stuff like that. Like, people forget how bad, like, and I'm like really bad, how Naruto at the end fumbled the bag. Because if it had ended with pain, which was a perfectly natural point of conclusion, by the way, like if they had ended there, Naruto would probably be one of my like top favorite anime / manga series ever. That Ninja War and everything that happened in it, the introduction of Kaguya and all of like the extraterrestrially magic bullshit, was terrible.
I think it should have ended with Madara. I don't I don't think it should have even dipped into, was it Cayuga? How you pronounce her name?
Kaguya, yeah.
But the only thing that I offer is that they needed something to transcend into Boruto. And potentially Boruto was already in conception, at least on paper, but at that point in Naruto, so that, you know, you needed some like, you needed threats to come from somewhere, and needed it to make sense. Potentially. I'm
Yeah,
reaching because I don't know for sure. I don't know. I think his name is Kishimoto. I don't know if
yeah.
he really thought that far out. But in, Japanese culture, they tend to have like, 5, 10 year plans. So I would imagine that, at the very least in his mind, if this is going to continue, I need to draw on something where this thing, or these people, can be continued threats at a higher level. Potentially. I'm just, like
But
I
the
said,
thing, and my thing is, and we've gotten so far away from what we were
I
originally talking
know.
about at this point that we
I
might as
know.
well just continue the discussion. It's so weird to me that anyone would feel a need because, like, it's the biggest problem that we have. We'll go back to Dragon Ball just for a second to make this point. Is that we're tired of just the only thing being we escalate the level of power of these villains, and that's all we can. Like, that's the only trick that they have in the bag anymore, right? Is that
Mhm.
they just continue to make these villains stronger. Like,
But see, but I like what they're doing with Boruto because you add the element with karma and essentially how these beings survive and basically don't age. And like using people as vessels, and
yeah,
it's very interesting.
lore wise, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
But when we got to a point where essentially, because when you look at Kaguya, and let's contextualize it to just like we're unaware of Boruto. So let's go back into the mindset if we don't know that Boruto's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
Like this is just Naruto.
Right.
We have essentially we are looking to defeat someone who has been set forth as essentially the goddess of chakra.
Yeah.
And it took a Herculean effort from the entire village just to stave off the white Zetsu.
Yeah.
It took a Herculean effort from Kakashi and Might Guy to stave off Obito and the whole conflict with Madara, where he ends up just kind of getting okey doked and left to the wayside.
Bruh, that was kind of funny though.
And and the Herculean effort from like Naruto in his peak, like at his peak, not his peak because Boruto came afterwards, obviously, but like peak Naruto up to that point,
Right.
working in conjunction with Sakura, who became kind of overpowered in that moment because I feel like there was no realistic way she should have landed a blow, much less a significant one on Kaguya, and of course Sasuke
But she's
with
always,
all of his training.
but after her training, she's always been physically more powerful than her counterparts. She's always, it's just that she couldn't really connect blows like that. Like very seldomly did she connect. Like she connected sometimes, but once she learned that technique from Lord, what's she, the fifth? Is that,
Yeah, Lady Tsunade.
Yeah, Tsunade. Once she learned that from her, like physical, like brute strength. Like I think they made that clear that
Oh, and I mean, she was always like punching the shit out of Naruto because he was annoying. But at the
he
end
let
of the
her
day,
do that.
yeah, but at the end of the day, when Sakura landed a significant blow on Kaguya, and like you could see it coming, but I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? But yeah, they defeated someone who was essentially like the goddess of chakra, who came from like the moon or some shit. Like, why do we need, like, again, from a lore perspective, absolutely like expound on that because it's interesting. Why do we need threats now that are more significant than that? Because all it does is throw a wrench into your power scaling.
Yeah, but I also think that
Which is nuts.
it wanted to connect to what they introduced with the Sage of Six Paths and really showing what he found the true purpose of chakra. And I'm going to probably misstate it because I'm trying to keep it with what I remember, but essentially bringing people and working together. So I think that they were really trying to connect the end of Shippuden to that story with the Six Paths, and basically how his brother saw it as a way of obtaining power, and he saw it. I forget his name, the six paths, his actual name. Oh, not his brother, his sons. I'm sorry. No, because no. Okay, let me backtrack. So the Sage of Six Paths did see it as a way. He imparted it to his sons, and they kind of like went on their own path. So one saw it as a way of obtaining power, and then the other saw it as a way to bring people together to use their abilities to kind of help each other. So I think that they were trying to connect the way that the Sage of Six Paths kind of, and he granted, I want to say he granted one son over the other, which ended up being the reason why they had this, ultimate strife to begin with. But he granted his power to the son that seemingly was lesser, which was supposed to represent Naruto, in his reincarnation.
Yeah, Asura, I think.
Right. As opposed to the other one who, was naturally more gifted and had, seemingly more power due to his abilities.
Yeah, I think it's Hagoromo, something like that.
Yeah. But it one is Idra and the other one is Ashura. I don't give me.
I think isn't Indra his? Oh no, okay.
Yeah, the H words. Sorry, I'm just not trying to mispronounce these names, y'all. I know.
Yeah, Indra is his first son,
which is the most powerful one.
Indra is his first son, and Asura is the second. My bad. That's my bad.
And so
my bad, yo.
Yeah, so Azura is the one that, ended up, overcoming his brother eventually through hard work and getting people to work together. So I think that they were trying to connect that, like, with how it started and connected to how it ended, because you needed all these working parts to come together to defeat her. And it needed to represent what the Sage of Six Paths essentially always saw as the reason for, or how to, the ultimate reasoning or foundation for how to go about using and utilizing chakra. And Naruto was able to then take the world that was divided in all these different villages and clans and whatnot, and then bring them together to work together towards the original goal of the first. So I think you had to have some level of threat that threatened them so much that they saw no other choice but to work together. Because with Madara, I mean, he's not a god, but he did, legitimately do some godlike shit. Let's just, call that what it is. Because he was on, some other stuff. And had he, had they stopped with him, I just don't think it would have had the same impact. Because with Kaguya, it just, I don't know, it just brings a different level of seriousness where the world's like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be, fighting each other if we got to deal with these types of threats.
And that's all well and good, but I mean, again, like, I really feel that the constant escalation of power and escalation of stakes is a lot less significant, like, to me, than it is when these stakes are personal and relatable. Because I think that's what we got with Pain. And Pain, I feel, could be used justifiably for people to be like, whoa, like, we got to stop fighting with one another because this is the damage that we can do. Because pain is the result of what happens when shinobi get into conflict, and what happens to the villages, and what happens to the losers.
Yeah. Well, like, see, they were caught up. They were caught up between, because they was the village of the rain. They came from the village of the rain, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that during the Great Shinobi War, I guess you would consider this what the first one, I guess. Their village was kind of caught, like, as
they were
like collateral damage.
Yeah. So that's So that's like, it's just pain. What pain represents is the unintended consequences of war, or the consequences.
Yeah, the collateral damage of war.
Don't think about.
Yeah.
And I feel like that illustrates that point way better than Space Aliens, because it's something that's tangible, that these people have to, essentially, if they were to all open their eyes, it's something that they would have to live with every single day.
Well,
And I feel like those personal stakes and just the conversation that Naruto has with Pain, when he decides, like, when he essentially decides, like, he's not going to kill him and he just wants to talk. Like that, the combination of that and Kakashi carrying Naruto back to the village, to me, that was a perfect way to conclude the series. And obviously, like, things would have had to change in the writing so that Naruto and Sasuke, which is the entire point of Naruto, could, like, have a satisfactory resolution. And bro, I don't know if everybody's ready for this one. And I don't know how popular this is because I'm not a big part of the Naruto fan base. It's just something that I enjoy kind of tangentially. I feel that the Naruto versus Sasuke fight was completely unearned and only happened because it had been promised.
Yeah, it was.
They didn't need to fight though.
It was something that you knew needed to happen, but the way that they kind of transitioned into it was jolting.
It was unjustified.
It did because it's like you got to a point where they're clearly working together, and not just like it's like you're working together in a way where there's some sense of camaraderie. But I also think that was a part of what Sasuke just felt like he needed to do. I know at one point he felt like he needed to kill his closest friend, and that was how he felt like he needed to obtain power, but he was beyond that. But they kind of wrote it in a way where Sasuke was literally trying to be alone in the world because he just was that damaged. Like he wanted to kill off he did not want that connection because he was so much in pain from having lost his connection. So he was that far gone and just had made up in his mind that, this is what it's going to be. But it was jolting because they never really because he never indicated, like he said certain things like he was going to make a decision at the end of everything of what he was going to do. So I guess that was the prelude to, what, to the fight, what he was going to, like, whether he was going to protect the village or he was going to destroy the village. You just didn't know what he was going to do. But he ultimately was like, I'm going to basically do my own thing and get rid of these, tailed beasts because they're the problems of everything. And I'm just going to be the one to make the decisions. So it was just kind of weird. But to go back to what you were saying about the pain arc, I would agree with you on that. My only issue is that it only works for the village of the Hidden Leaf with that ending, because the only ones that are witnessing Naruto coming out with Kakashi being carried is everyone in the leaf. But in terms of the whole shinobi world, there's no impact with them whatsoever. They'll hear, they'll hear about it and be like, oh, okay, the Hidden Leaf took care of this threat. We can go back to our normal ways now. Like, it's not a thing of where they're forced to come to a meeting with them. They're forced to work with them. Like, literally, the Hidden Leaf took care of the world's problems instead of the world taking care of the world's problems, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that there are ways to, just while we're on that topic, because it's a good point, I think that there are ways to get around that. Like, Pain could have essentially used puppets, so to speak, from around the world. Instead of an army of just white Zetsu, it could have been an army of people who were affected by all of the world's conflict that had been going on for generations. You know what I mean? Like, there are you would have to change things. So, like, it wouldn't work as like a one-to-one, we'll just do this exact situation and end it off. But I feel like there are ways that you could change the Pain arc very slightly that can make it as effective. Because again, I think that seeing real human beings and the collateral damage we cause by trying to achieve our goals, regardless of anyone else,
they didn't care about that stuff. These are people who knowingly put monsters into children and then treated them like trash, man, because of what they decided for them. Because their fear of these monsters breaking loose, but they knowingly put it in these kids and then was like, yeah, like what what's the Gar's father, bruh? Like, are you serious?
He's a piece of shit.
Like, but you did this to your son. Like, come on, bro. Like, but now you're scared of him. Like, okay. And even with the lead, I mean, Naruto's father had to make a decision because of the sake of the village.
Mhm.
But at that point, I mean, you all know what it is. Somebody has to be a vessel, but you want to treat them poorly. It really showed the lack of compassion that the ninja world had. I mean, and it seemed like only a few people actually had compassion in that world. So
Yeah.
I just think that, yeah, the Leaf had turned around at that point, and it was a good moment for the Leaf because Naruto was able to show that in front of everybody that this power that you all have been afraid of from me for so long, I have just used to protect you all.
Mhm.
Because you see it come out full force and I was able to control it. And then I was able to utilize, some different power and with, Sage mode. But essentially, like, I saved this village from the verge of extinction. So now you have to acknowledge me. So in terms of Naruto's story, I agree with you. It was a definite, like, focal point. And of course, you would theorize at that point that he would be propelled to Hokage one day. You wouldn't actually see it. But then, like you said, we have to get to, because maybe they used the ninja war to really get to Naruto and Sasuke.
And I feel like that's all it. I feel like it was a plot device.
Yeah, but it was a huge plot device because it was long.
Yeah, and I think that they only did it to justify
them coming to blows.
The relationship. No, not even necessarily that.
Oh,
to justify the relationship there and how like they're essentially reincarnations of the sons. I feel like it was all that was a huge like conspiracy just to get them to that point.
Yeah, because you connected them to
was unnecessary.
Yeah, because it went. It's funny because it went in parts. It went, all right, these two are rivals. Then it's like, well, now you two are from this clan and this one's from the other clan that have been rivals. Then it's like, now we find out, well, they were rivals because they're reincarnations of
and they were destined. And I guess they will be continually destined to have that conflict for all time. Like,
which
I don't
is
know
weird
how
because I don't feel like Boruto and the daughter are really like tripping like that.
No, they're not. They're friends because there's no like looming. There's no like looming thing like hanging over.
Well, that
them.
and Naruto and Sasuke still alive. So
yes, very true.
Duh.
But like,
my bad.
That's what I was like getting at about like the relationships. You have that thing with Naruto and Sasuke where you end up finding out that it's essentially nothing that they've done matters because it was all predetermined. Mm-hmm. Whereas Boruto and Sarada are legitimately friends. You can kind of tell, not from watching the anime, because their relationship in the anime is terrible, and they like turn them into the stock characters that'll never get along. Mm-hmm. But in the manga, you can tell that like they're going to be together, like they're going to be a thing.
You think so?
I know so. I
think that she's going to be the Hokage.
Definitely.
And I don't know if they'll be a thing though.
They got to be. They have to be.
I don't know, man. Like, because at one point I thought Naruto and Sakura were going to be together, and apparently that was actually supposed.
That's where it was headed.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the idea, but I did not foresee that it was going to be Hinata.
No, they forced that. That's they cheapened. They used Neji as a scapegoat to make sure that happened and tried to make it make sense. No. And it's something I didn't pick up on at all.
No.
They killed Neji like that to get him with Hinata. That was.
I think it started with the pain. Well, okay, so they went back and make it start somewhere else. But for us as viewers, it was like it kind of happened with the pain arc because she jumped out there like when Naruto was like in a real tough spot and about to take a L, and like she essentially stood by her man that wasn't her man, and when he saw her take a L, like that's when he started losing his his senses, and Nine Tails chakra started leaking. But that was the first time that you saw her like profess her feelings for him openly, and he's like, oh, really? And because they're in battle, it doesn't really sink into him. But seeing her, take a L, he was like, what? So that was kind of like the little trinket, and I was like, oh, so okay. I was happy for her, but I still thought that, they would go the Sakura route. I'm definitely more disappointed that Sakura went with Sasuke though. That's a totally unrelated topic to this whole discussion that we've been having.
Well, I mean, this whole discussion has been a totally unrelated topic to the discussion that we were having.
So you guys gonna have to forgive us. You gonna have to forgive us,
That's how it goes, man. We'll put it in we'll put like we'll edit something in the beginning to let people know that this thing goes off the fucking rails.
Yeah. But no, that really blew me. How, because essentially she's like a battered woman and just like does not hold that man accountable, bro. It is such a bad example of how to go about relationships. Like, yeah, he comes and goes as he pleases. He stays away for months at a time. Only comes in to, every now and again, and doesn't.
I will say that their relationship is a lot. It's a lot healthier now, I think, because it's the equivalent of like an army wife now, so to speak, because it's not like Sasuke is just not coming home. Like, he's out there doing important shit. And like, without Sasuke, they would have taken an L, like a massive L to the Otsutsuki clan.
Yeah, no, I mean, he has a very important role. It's just, I don't know. I guess the American part of me is just like, dude, really? Because I know sometimes it comes down to cultural differences in terms of how we see things versus how, a Japanese audience would, or I guess they're considered Eastern, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how an Eastern audience would view it versus a Western audience. So I completely understand that. But yeah, from a Western point of view, like, he's trash.
But Sasuke, like, you can tell that like he
does love her.
Developed that genuine love for her. Like, you could tell at the end of Naruto when Naruto Shippuden. I tend to call it Naruto because I read the manga and it's all just Naruto.
No. It's all Naruto with the manga. So that's
at the end he does like the Itachi thing where he like taps her on the forehead when he goes and like that's something.
I mean, I just didn't see, like, bro, like, it just didn't make sense to me that these two fall in love. Like I know they have a novel where he kind of gets into it from his point of view. I actually wanted to purchase it, but I just haven't yet. But yeah, it's just I never liked it. I mean, because
I get it from his end, bro.
Because you tried to kill this woman and she the only one that would probably tolerate you at this point, but it just does not seem healthy.
It seems like everybody has pretty much forgiven Sasuke, except for maybe like Shikamaru is like the only one who's keenly aware of like, this dude, he really tried to fuck us up.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Shikamaru is my dude, man.
Shikamaru is my favorite character.
He should be Naruto's best friend because he always has his best interest at heart. Always.
He does. But he don't hit like Sasuke.
Man. And he resolved in himself when he was younger what he was going to be to Naruto. A support, like, he knew he was going to be his support person, the person that he needed, like, out of everybody else. Yeah. Naruto depends on Sasuke to do the stuff outside the village, but for all intents and purposes, Shikamaru is Naruto's person and deserves way more credit.
Yeah, he's the right hand for real. But Shikamaru, he's always been that dude. Like, he has always been the one to come up with any of like Naruto's battle strategy. He even rode for him when they were doing the Sasuke retrieval mission, and I think it was Lady Tsunade didn't want Naruto to be a part of it. Shikamaru was the one that rode for him and was like, I'll keep an eye on him. Like, I'll make sure that this doesn't break left.
Shikamaru is a goat, man.
Shikamaru is goated. Like, factually, if he's not one of your like top 3 favorite Naruto characters, I don't know what you watched.
Because, bro, who like, think about it from a real life perspective, bro. Like, you have you have people who become part of like groups and things, and there's always somebody who's like the established like leader, alpha, whatever you want to label it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they were younger, everybody said, "Oh, I'll become Hokage. I'll become Hokage. I'll become Hokage." And Shikamaru was like, "Yeah, I'm going to support him. Like, that's going to be what I'm going to be about." Not everybody's like that. I mean, especially in today's world. There's people who ultimately end up that way. But like, for him to resolve, because I think he had a conversation with his father about it, if I'm not mistaken, and it could have been filler. but like he literally resolved within himself like that he would do whatever it took to support Naruto, like that he believed in him that much that he was like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna make it essentially my life's mission to support him in
And
whatever
mind
he
you,
needs.
one of the biggest reasons that he doesn't want to be Hokage, and this is just objective, is that Shikamaru's lazy as fuck.
But even in his role, he is not lazy, bro. It was just crazy.
Yeah, he's not lazy in his role, but he was like, I would rather do this amount
I think
of
that
work.
I think that was a cop out though. I think it was.
I mean,
he wasn't really lazy.
Yo, it's baked into his character. Not he's one of those dudes, and like I've been the same way in life, where it's not like you can't do something. It's just that you so powerfully don't want to do shit that you kind of have to get pushed into doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not a great way to be, and I'm not super proud of it all the time, but like I was that dude who I didn't really do shit until like push came to shove, and I was like, well, now I gotta do this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna complain about doing this the entire time.
Yeah.
So like I relate to Shikamaru on like a spiritual level. Like
that's your spirit. That's your spirit animal.
Shikamaru is my spirit animal.
Oh,
I love him to death.
Nah, he is definitely like, when I just really look at it, like he's definitely a character that deserves like just so much accolades and respect, because you know his father was a beast, but like, you know, he really just, I don't know, it just resonates with me, somebody who can humble themselves to the point of literally, you know, in a fictional world, like I'm going to make it my life's, you know, thing to serve this guy and be his person. And actually expect nothing from it. Like it was just literally like, yeah, I see what he's doing, I believe in him. And like, again, most people don't get to this point until they're teenagers. I mean, till they're adults. He was a teenager saying this.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Like he really had the foresight and maturity to see Naruto for who he was, and didn't want to try to, you know, one up him, didn't want to try to trip him up. Like genuinely saw him as the answer for I imagine not just for the Leaf, but potentially the world. And was just like, yeah, like this is what I'm gonna do. And as an adult, man, like in the manga, I like him because he really just, because he, again, you know, if Naruto's not around and Sasuke not around, it's on him, and he just
and his whole thing is like protect Naruto and the Leaf at all costs.
Yeah, I enough cannot be said about, you know, about this guy, man. Like,
and like you see, he's not playing when he spoilers if you have not read the Boruto.
Oh no, you got to be up to forget that.
So I like to warn people. Like I'm gonna talk about like the most recent couple chapters here. So you've been warned. Click off the video right now. When he drops that barrier on Kawaki, because he thought that maybe he had something to do with why Naruto was gone, I was like, damn. And he was just like straight up like, bruh, I don't really like you. I don't really trust you. I'm gonna be nice to you because that's what Naruto would want me to do. But if you even like twitch in a way that I don't like I will fuck you up.
Yeah, bro. He wasn't playing no games. Like he was not playing no games. And I mean, even with, you know, man, when it came to his son, bruh, when dude had that collar on him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. He was not, and Shikadai is another one. Like, I can't wait to see what Shikadai becomes, because he has a benefit that Shikamaru didn't have, in that he has someone who is like intellectually above him. Because Shikamaru is probably like the smartest dude in the history of the Leaf, and is probably like the smartest person alive in the Naruto universe. And Shikadai already, I would say Shikadai is already at a similar level to where Shikamaru was in Naruto. And to have the ability to learn from somebody who is genuinely smarter than him, I can't wait to see what he becomes, kind of, not necessarily to Boruto, because Boruto has kind of willingly relegated himself to kind of the Sasuke role, but he's kind of what Shikamaru was to Naruto, in that he tells Sarada, Like, you go ahead and like you be the Hokage, and it's great that you want to do that. I'm gonna make sure that I'm your number one like supporter, and I'm gonna make sure that I protect you and the Leaf regardless.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see what Shikadai becomes for Sarada, to see what kind of role that he takes on.
Yeah. And getting back to our true purpose of this recording.
It's too late. It's way too late.
I just wanted to give a very brief thing about, I guess, my issues with Boruto in relation to Naruto. I'm gonna try to make it about 5 minutes tops. But largely, we were talking about this offline. Naruto is an original work, meaning it from conception to finish, it was its own story, right? Boruto is the continuation of Naruto. Not necessarily, it's Boruto's story, so it's not Naruto's story, it's now Boruto's, but Naruto and other characters are now, implemented into the story because now it's the children of the people or the characters that we follow for Naruto. Everybody knows that, whatever. My initial issues with it was that, and we talked about this, and I'm being very fair, okay? And by fair, I mean like I'm openly criticizing myself for feeling this way, but I originally had a really big issue with the fact that these characters were like their parents, even with how they looked, some of them in terms of how they acted. And when me and Kev were talking about it offline, I was like, well, I have to be fair because it's actually realistic of real life. Like, kids do take characteristics from their parents and will behave like them. Some kids definitely look like their parents. Most times they look like one parent over the other. So it's not far-fetched that they would do that. And I was talking to Kevin about this, and this goes even with my criticism of the Star Wars recent trilogy and just other works where I feel like they're supposed to be a continuation of the story. I have a huge issue with stories revisiting, I guess, I don't want to say storylines. Give me another term, Kev, because I don't really feel comfortable with saying storylines. But say that again. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to think in terms of what.
Like for example, The Force Awakens had the same plot lines as like A New Hope. Not like dialogue wise, but beat
for beat, like that plot was the same.
Yeah, so like for me, if you're trying to expect it's because Boruto is not a hard reboot, it's not a soft reboot, it's not a reboot.
Straight up sequel.
Right. So my expectation for sequels is to see continuation, to see things, not when I say new, I'm not necessarily saying like they have to have new abilities and things like that. I just don't want to see them have to go through the same type of stories that their parents or people before them went through. For me, that's like rehashing stuff. Either you're banking on nostalgia or you're kind of just being lazy. That's how I see it
with Boruto.
Yeah, I'm not saying that my way of seeing it is right, but that's why I have a hard time with connecting with works that are supposed to continue a story, because I'm expecting a true continuation, a diversion from where we were, something completely new and different, which is why I enjoyed the Star Wars expanded universe that's now considered Legends, because they didn't revisit the same storylines. They took it into a completely different arena where they even killed off some people, and be fair, yes, this new trilogy, they did kill off, a couple of people. Mainly most of the old cast that was actual living people, minus Chewie, but they, it took certain risk, but with the newer characters, it didn't revisit it didn't revisit the same thing, and I hate to bring again Star Wars into it, but this is the one where I have the most familiarity in terms of when, so I can make what I'm saying make sense. But like literally The Force Awakens was this big, this conflict that followed the same plot lines of A New Hope. And the thing that we have to destroy at the end, like any other Star Wars movie, is a big globe looking thing or planet, something that's big and round that destroys planets. Now we have to get inside and destroy it. We've seen that before. Why are we doing this again? So the same thing I feel like when it comes to anime or Boruto stuff, I don't want to see the kids do these things that their parents did and to revisit these things. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
Um,
the key difference there between like just using your Star Wars example, the key difference there is that it's not one person overseeing everything. Like new people get to write like comics. Even for we could like take it out of even Star Wars and just go with things like Superman, Batman, all that stuff. Like you get multiple teams of people writing a whole bunch of different stories, so it feels a lot more fresh. Whereas you have with something like Naruto, you have one guy who's a writer, they have an editor, and that's really it. And they've worked on this. You got to remember, like Kishimoto has been working on Naruto essentially since like late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he has written one thing with one story flow, with one set of characters and character types.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I feel like that's a problem for any continuation within like the vein of anime and manga. You have one person who's been working on something for so long, they pigeonhole themselves into this one thing and writing this a certain way. Because when people see like Naruto and that brand, those types of conflicts are what they expect. But you also trap yourself again when you bring in a group of villains that's like an offshoot of a villain that we've already dealt with. And when you're dealing with their ancestors, it's going to be very similar. But to Boruto's credit is that with adding, like making it more modern and more kind of almost technology based, they've been able to do some interesting things with the power. Like we were talking about the karma before. They managed to do some interesting stuff. Yeah. But Boruto does at the end of the day feel a little bit more similar to Naruto than you want. Because again, we've taken the stock characters and the character types that worked in Naruto still exist in Boruto for all of the like secondary characters. I do feel that Boruto, to his credit, is very different than Naruto.
Yeah. And even Sadara from Sasuke, she's different.
Yeah, Sadara is very, very different.
You know, I'm just, really just going off of what really turned me off at the beginning of the anime. I don't know. I guess my expectation was just to see something different. So when I see these kids and they're like Shinkumaru's son is acting exactly like his father did, it's like, like I said, I'm being openly fair and honest. I understand that this happens in real life, that you're kids, parents and children, they take after their parents. I get it, man. So I'm not trying to say that they did not tap into what was realistic and that it doesn't make sense. I'm not suggesting it doesn't make sense. It's just from a storytelling standpoint, I don't want to see another character just like his father. Like we've seen that before. That's pretty much all I'm saying with that at that point. But in terms of the manga, and I forget exactly at what point I really like picked up the manga and really just started keeping up with it week to week, because it's I've been definitely keeping up with it, because once Dragon Ball Super drops, so that we get a drop of Boruto. But I'm extremely fascinated with what they're doing with the story. I like it. It's very entertaining. I know some people, and we've talked about this in a group, have an issue with, I guess, Naruto still being around, because it's kind of like he's a failsafe for Boruto. Whenever things get too much of a pinch, like him and Sasuke are kind of like, oh, these people get too powerful. Here's Uncle Sasuke and Daddy Naruto to the rescue. And I get it that they kind of want them to be killed off. And part of me is conflicted about that, because killing off people shouldn't just be the automatic go-to. Like we rely on killing people off too much. But just because, like, I'm just being fair. I mean, not being fair. I'm just being biased. I really want to see Naruto grow old. He's worked so hard to get to where he is. I want to see this man, have a successful career as Hokage and literally die a old man with his family, retired. Yeah. I'm just being fair. I now Sasuke, he can kick rocks for all I care.
Come on, man. Show Sasuke some love, man. No. He works hard to protect Naruto.
Yeah. Nah, but seriously, I just for the fan in me just wants to see him his story is completed in terms of the shonen aspect, but I want to see more Naruto as an adult. And but at the same time, his character is someone who will willingly sacrifice his life for his village. So that's something that has to be taken into account, even with what's currently going on. He brings out a whole new form and power that literally is taking his life away from him. So, that's something that's going to, that's definitely going to be at play. So I get that. But no, I mean the manga right now, it to me is, and I'm saying this, and people may get upset, but I feel like it's actually superior to where we were in Naruto at the same point. 52 for 52. I mean, and part of it is
keep going. I'm gonna check where we were.
Yeah, no, because I mean, to be fair, Naruto had a starting point that was further behind.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of what's considered exciting and I guess climatic at this point, or at the peak, like it's going to be different. But in terms of what I feel like they're bringing into the picture, and what's what I consider interesting and surprising and just like wow factor, it goes to Boruto. Because you got to think about it, you not only got karma, you got this the backstory about how these, I don't want to mispronounce their species, but these godlike people who have been surviving through
the Otsutsuki clan.
Yeah. But how they've gone as far with that. You've gotten a clone of Jiraiya. You've just gotten so many different things in this short period of time, where with Naruto you didn't get nearly as much. And again, it's being fair because Naruto had a different starting point, where Boruto was propelled by Naruto's story. So you're going to have to be a little further ahead, but I like where it's going. I think the manga is definitely more interesting than the anime at this point, and eventually the anime will catch up and be interesting, I guess. I initially did not like Boruto as a lead character. He was very annoying, spoiled, bratty. And Naruto was just annoying in terms of being like a bratty in terms of a prankster, I guess. Mm-hmm. But you had more empathy for him because he didn't have a family. And it looks like Boruto is just like, well, I have a family, but my dad's busy and I don't like it.
But that speaks to, like, it's weird, man. We look at Naruto's trauma, and like that's kind of how we judge like how Boruto should feel. But like we can't, and just as human beings, I guess, like in real life, we don't dismiss people's like troubles in life, because he's going through something where his dad isn't present. For a young man, like that's devastating.
It is, but he's at least alive. Like he's not around, but he's around, bro.
I feel like Naruto is,
and then he looks up to Sasuke, who is not even around for his own daughter.
Yeah, but Sasuke is around. Sasuke is around for him when it counts, and that's kind of what kids know. Like they don't look at things the way that you just did. Kids, at the end of the day, they know who shows up for them when it matters most to them. Yeah, and Sasuke is doing something that Naruto, at least early on in Boruto, never did, which is take the time to really train him. Like that's why when Boruto cheated in the Chunin exam, that's why that moment was so powerful, when he was like, instead of like, don't you think that now the point where you're lecturing me is like too late? You should have been there for me before you even had to lecture me, and maybe things would have turned out different. And that's where Naruto as a father was like, shit, I gotta turn this thing around, because my son is correct. Like I should have been there more for him before we got to this point.
It's just and I guess as an audience, like as for me, it's like you, especially as an adult, you understand adult responsibilities. And even more so, you understand the actual burden that is on Naruto. And like the kid doesn't even appreciate that he sends a clone to spend time with them. It's like, oh, it's the clone, like get out of here. And it's like, but bro, it's still him. It's still his personality. He's still gonna experience it. It's not like it's a clone where they're not connected. Like
I mean,
it's
I get
schematics at this point, and he
I
just
get that. But it's like being a little kid and like we'll take it modern. Like you and me are both dads.
yeah
I feel like for your son's birthday, like when he's older, when he's like, let's say he's like 10 or 12 years old, right?
yeah
I feel like for his birthday or something huge like that, like maybe it's his like first football game or something like that. I don't know, however you want to take it. I don't think that you, Rob, because I know you, I don't think that you would opt to go to work and like be there via like FaceTime or like Zoom or something like that to watch your kid's game. I feel like you would be there just because I know you would be there. And having a shadow clone go to like attend.
That's a low blow, Kev.
I'm just saying, and I'm the same way. Like work for me, like I had work on my son's first day of preschool, I guess, and I let them know like I was scheduled and I was for the morning shift, and I was like, I'm letting you guys know right now, like I'm not going to be on time because this is a big thing, and like I'm going to be there. So if you want to like write me up or fire me, you're going to have to write me up or fire me. And I was there, and like I know that you are the same way that I am with my son.
Hitting me in the heartstrings, man.
So like, I know that if you had the ability to clone yourself, I know damn well that you would send the clone to work, and that you would be there personally for your son. That's why I don't give Naruto because while he is busy and while he is like everybody in the Leaf is his family, and he's always big on that, because he wants to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks like he almost did and like Gara did. But at the end of the day, you got to be there for your family, and work is not an excuse. And you know that, Rob, because you know that you're there for that little boy.
So if I hope if everybody's paying attention, the way to get me to concede is use my son against me.
and I'm not trying to use him as a weapon, man. I'm not trying to use him as a weapon, but I know you, and I know who you are as a person. I know that you would be there for that boy. So don't lie to me. Don't lie to me on camera.
I'm not going to lie. If I had the ability, if I didn't have the ability to clone, work would just have to be sacrificed. I would just have to eat whatever consequences came my way because that's my boy. I only got one. They only experience these things. You know, you can only have a birthday at 10 years old once in your life. You see what I'm saying? You know, you'll have an 11 and 12-year-old, but you're only 10 years old once. You know.
Yep. Everything like these moments, man, they're really important, and Boruto understands that. And there are sacrifices that he's going to tolerate, like not being able to show up for dinner, like on a Thursday night. That's whatever. Like, because you'll get those family dinners at some point, but when it's something like big, and like it's not even always for him. Like it was Himawari, I think
it was his sister.
Yeah, it was Himawari's birthday, and he was like, "Dog, like you better show up." And he was really excited for him to be there, only to find out that it was a clone.
Yeah.
So Naruto has a long way to go as a dad. And mind you, he is a lot better now. Like the manga has, like he took that moment in the Chunin exam, and you could tell he genuinely learned from it. Because him and Boruto are tight, because he shows up. And maybe a lot of that is because he has to personally guard like Kawaki, and they are spending a lot of time together. But he's a lot more present, and their relationship has gotten
well. And I think also it's because Boruto sees like I open up a little bit. You know, my father worked for UPS, right? Mm-hmm. And he it's a very grueling job because it's very physically demanding. Even if you're a fit person and whatnot, the time constraints. The type of even in weather and stuff like that, like delivery men really do deal with a lot. And he retired back in like 2008, I believe it was. So even back then, in further back, like they just had ridiculous amounts of stress on them. He actually had a guy who had died, that was his co-worker, that really good guy. But he came down with cancer, and the job just did not give him the support that he needed, and he was forced to try to work while he was trying to get well from cancer. And it just he ended up passing away, and it was a real sad situation. But bringing that up, there was a lot of things back then that my dad used to do in terms of disciplining himself, with how he went to bed, how he did things with his time. And sometimes you just didn't as a kid, you didn't understand it. And it wasn't
Hmm.
until he retired, when they had this retirement celebration for him at his job, and all these people are like coming up and speaking these things about them, like the things that he taught them, like how how the way he was, it did this for them, and blah 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 blah, and them even speaking to the high demand and what they dealt with, and how he always met the standard, how he just always was able to perform, how regardless of it, like just all these things. And me and my sister sat up there and cried like babies.
Yeah.
And it was because we were finally able to see that he didn't do this stuff because or he wasn't away from us, or as much as he was, or didn't do certain things because he didn't care. It was because his job really required him to. We just had finally grown to the point where we were mature enough, and to be able to see it and witness it, and really take in what these people were saying about him, and just how much responsibility he held, and how close he could have been to losing his job had he made even one mistake. But he was getting awards towards the tail end of his career for his driving record and his years of service and stuff like that. Like, he has stuff upstairs that we have in a trophy cabinet. But so I think with Boruto, once he started seeing real life, like because before that, they were living in peace. So Naruto was essentially just staying busy, just arguably to stay busy in the office, maybe being a little bit overzealous. But once they started dealing with threats and Naruto had to show up, I think that's what partly changed Boruto's perspective of him, because it's like now he sees the huge responsibility that is on his father, and it goes beyond him being in the office. Like, when these threats come and there's nobody but him and Sasuke to deal with it, he has to step up. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And I think that really played a factor into finally, like, okay, I kind of get it now. And even though Naruto has, turned over a new leaf and really tried to be more present with him, but him seeing him in action and him seeing just how deadly these threats can be, I think really just like opened his eyes a bit, because before that, them kids was living in peace.
Yeah.
So, being fair, I think that it was a twofold thing.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot more appreciation for kind of like what Naruto's day to day is, and the stuff that he was protecting him from, like, beforehand, because Naruto was gaining all of this intelligence the entire time through Sasuke. So they were very aware that there was a threat coming and that they had to prepare for it. But like Boruto seeing like what they deal with on a day to day, and not only that, seeing the stuff that Naruto had to deal with, like he's getting a taste of what Naruto had to deal with every day when he was his age. Because like these, like one day somebody's gonna actually have a real conversation about the use of child soldiers in war,
bruh.
In the Naruto universe.
Yeah, bro.
That's like problematic.
Where the adults at, bro? Why the teenagers the one taking the leadership roles?
Like, for real though. Like, one day there's going to be a framework for a good conversation there.
Because now that you think about it, though, I mean, the adults were like the most powerful adults did try, but Naruto and Sasuke were the reincarnations to receive the power up.
Because the way that it comes across in a lot of Naruto, not early, but as it develops, it went from Kakashi is going to take the lead on everything, just using Team 7 as an example, of course, that Kakashi was going to take the lead to show them how it's done, and they would provide support to, all right, Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke, y'all go ahead, and I got your back.
Yeah.
When you guys are doing this. So, like, it's a problem, man. The Jonin, at a certain point, comparative to, of course, like our main characters, became kind of useless.
Yeah.
I don't want to say super useless, but they were definitely the Jonin weren't holding up their end, and it's going to be the same thing in Boruto too.
No, but I think it's
to get bailed out.
I just think because like I guess I kind of always took it as like they just really weren't that exceptional. It had nothing to do with their power, but I guess like a basic skills test that they had to pass. Because think about Naruto. Naruto was exceptionally more powerful than anybody in the village, but he was still only a genin.
Yeah,
because he did not pass or go through the knowledge and skills portion. And they had a scene in the anime. I don't recall if they had it in the manga. I don't think that they even did. But like Naruto's kind of like on a high of like everything, and then they take him into a room and they're basically like, "Yeah, bro, you still got to earn this." And he's just like, "Okay."
I remember what you're talking about. It's like he's talking about like all his ambitions with becoming the Hokage, and somebody was like, "Dog, you still need to pass the basic exam," and he was like, "Oh, yeah." He was like, "I guess technically I'm still a genin."
Yeah.
But Naruto, man, they should have made an exception for Naruto, man. He earned it.
He did. No. Don't get me wrong. Like if we're talking about like somebody, like if we're talking about a group project.
Yeah, Naruto carried, bro. Yeah. Naruto absolutely carried.
Oh God. Well, like we gaming and somebody does the hard carry. Yeah, like
like Naruto, he had him, bro. Like,
oh God. I agree with you. It was kind of petty for them, but at the same time, like if you're going to be Hokage and you're going to be somebody that's like the leader and mentoring other people, you do have to have knowledge. You can't be just a dumb person off the, that's just powerful and be like, yeah, because I beat up all these guys, I deserve the title. So,
but he showed like that he had at the very least, he had the strength of heart and like the strength of character required, right. And he had the support of the people too, because like it came to a point where like Naruto, like unanimously, they were like, he should be the Hokage. Mm-hmm. So that speaks for itself. But you're right, he had to really know, like, because the job is knowledge. Like, right. That's half the battle. Like, you have to be one of the most powerful people in the village, yes, but you also have to have the knowledge and understanding that comes with that. So it was justified. I just thought it was funny. He was like, yeah, technically I'm still a genin, so I really gotta pass these exams. And I think it was Iruka that was talking to him at that point. I'm not 100% sure, but that was a clip from the anime that I did watch. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, it was. It was very funny. I just thought I thought it was hilarious. But it was also them keeping it real, because it was just basically like, yeah, man, like, I'm gonna let you finish, but you got
like we've been really distracted for the last few years because everything that's going on, but you have to talk to us for a minute.
But it speaks like you said earlier, it speaks volumes to his character, because he humbled himself and still did it, and he was the better person for it, in my opinion. Like,
absolutely,
because it added to his knowledge, which, like Naruto, like you said, most shonen characters, like, they're just able to do stuff because they have raw ability, and the plot, makes them have to. But like, once you get the knowledge and skill into Naruto, he just becomes that much more like formidable. Especially in comparison to Sasuke, who has all those intangibles, doesn't have a title because I guess he, got, he was in prison and then just like pretty much like got pardoned, and I don't think really has a, he's just lucky to be alive type thing.
And Kakashi told him that too.
Yeah. But essentially, yeah, man, like they did right. They did right by him. They held him accountable. It was, and I appreciate that. Like I said, he was humble enough to do it and to earn it in that regard. Like, he did one part of it and understood that there were several parts that he still had to do, and he put in the work. So, if anybody, Naruto definitely earned the title of Hokage. But
it took him years to get it, but he earned his respect, man.
Well, he earned it at the right time. He earned it at the right time, because maturity-wise, he wasn't ready as a teenager.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
But that village, man, they'd have had to, if that was me, if I was Naruto, they'd have had to come see me, man. One by one. They'd have had to come see me for what they put me through as a kid, man.
Yeah.
Naruto's a better person than I am, bro.
Nah, but at the same time, he always wanted the, recognition of the people. So, You know,
But once I got it, I'd have been like, hey, man, y'all remember when I was sitting by myself?
Pulling up people like, oh, Naruto, can I get a hug? Can I get it? Like, hold up. So remember that time when you was like, look at that creepy kid with the 9 tails, whatever?
Like, keep that same energy, man.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm not Hokage, because I'm petty as fuck.
Yeah. But I think that this is a good stopping point.
For sure. We went so far off topic. We never talked about what we said. So at the end of the day, Boruto, very good. Everybody stop hating on it.
Yeah, and if you can't get into the anime, you read the manga. It's legit.
It's free if you know where to look. It's $2 if you want to bother to support the industry that you love.
Bro, like, never mind. I'm not even gonna get into that. But no, I'm gonna get into it. You like the anime and nerd community, y'all gotta stop being cheap, man. Like, I get it that, you know, we have access to getting free stuff, but what, $2 a month just to read like a good amount of manga and material? It's really not that much.
An essentially unlimited library.
Unless you're a kid and like you don't have access to, you know, those types of things. I get it, but for anybody that has a working job, man, $2, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're like a teenager, if you're in like high school and you don't work, I'm sure that mom and dad don't have a problem paying $24 a year for you to read something.
Yeah, you know, it's entertainment.
And somebody going to be in the comments talking about how like paying for subscriptions doesn't actually do anything for the industry and that you have to buy the figures and whatnot. Shut up. It's better to pay for the content 100% of the time. It is better to pay for the content than to pirate it and rip it off for free.
Well, that, and you keep a lot of viruses off your computer and phones too.
True. You're giving your computer AIDS by going on all these free watch websites.
Yeah.
And make you watch the ads for those weird games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But some of them like to live on the dark web, so, you know, whatever.
True. Pay for your shit. Don't be a bum. Pay for your shit.
Yeah, man.
Or share it with somebody who does pay for it.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. Like, if you're not going to pay for it, link with somebody who's willing to let you know, share their stuff. Legit. Like, cut it out. But anyway, yeah, man, we're going to get going. We appreciate the support. Oh, shout out to Murdyville, yes. Murdyville. Should have did this in the beginning, but bro, you have been phenomenal in your commentary to us. We appreciate that you listen to all of our videos in full, and we appreciate your commentary because it not only shows that you listen, but that you're absorbing what we're saying and actually have like positive, well thought out opinions. Whether we fully agree with it or not, we appreciate it because this is the type of stuff that builds our channel, builds our community. So we thank you. I'm not even sure who you are in the real world, but whoever you are, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I mean, and not to say that we do not appreciate the other comments, because Tam comes through, Matthew Jones came through, Warren came through. And there's other people I can't remember right now. Bill has come through.
Yeah.
Charlie has come through.
Yeah. So just like a blanket statement of appreciation, like a lot, like beyond what you guys like see as the final product. Like, even though we have never one time stuck to a topic that we were committed to, like a lot of like behind the scenes stuff goes into it, and like finding the time and stuff like that goes into what we do. So we appreciate the feedback that you guys give. So whether like positive or negative, man, leave your comments and let us know what you think. If there's particular topics that you're interested in that you feel like we would be interested in talking about, or that you want to hear our opinions about, like, let us know, man. Like, we try to source from you guys as much as we can and like see what you guys are interested in before we come up with these things. So please, like, never hesitate to let us know what's going on, man.
Yep. But with that, it's your boys Rob and Kev, and we are signing off, man. Thank you for listening to this. Holla at y'all later.